Okay, last Mishlei of the season, I think. And I found a Rabbi Moskowitz recording of this, so I'll send this on the chat after in case anyone wants to listen to it. I don't know what he says, so we'll find out. Okay, so Nezim. Oh, this is a classic one, by the way. I don't know why classic, but I feel like it's one that of Mishlei people would know it. Nezim Zahav Ba'af Chazir Isha Yafa Vasaras Ta'am. Where's Ariel? He would love this one.
Send him a message.
Okay. All right. So Nezim Zahav Ba'af Chazir. I'll go ahead and translate this, I guess. So the ציון says Nezim, because it's a weird word, is Adi Yusam al Ha'af. It's a jewelry that is placed on the nose. So it's I think it's a nose ring. I think that's a conventional translation. And you have to add the word like, because it's a comparison. Like a golden nose ring, be'af chazir, in the snout of a pig. Isha yafa v'sarastam. So is a beautiful woman, v'sarastam. So saras, like sur means to turn aside or remove. So I would translate this as a beautiful woman whose reason is removed. We'll see some similar English translations in a little while. ציון says Tom is Yona ha'etza b'tochin hadavar. Etza meaning counsel. We'll say counsel. Okay, similar to reason. Okay, and then Targum, I think is just a literal translation. Kadashe de dahava. I think this is just a literal translation, so I'm not going to make a big deal about it. Okay, R scroll. Like a golden ring in the snout of a pig, so is a beautiful woman whose good sense has departed. Okay, so R scroll also takes it as reason. They say good sense, and then departed, removed. So that's pretty much the same. Living Knox says a beautiful woman who is bereft of sense. Bereft means like lacking. Is like a gold ring in the snout of a pig. Okay, that's pretty similar. And then Alter says a golden ring in the snout of a pig, a lovely woman. Okay, I don't know why he says lovely. Yafa is beautiful, who lacks good sense. All right, so this is a very, very straightforward pasuk, structurally speaking, because it's basically just saying this is like that. It's basically a straight up analogy. So what are the questions?
Can you tell me why? What was the purpose of a nose ring in a pig? I haven't been around a farm recently.
I mean, I think that's the incongruous thing. I think you're not supposed to have a nose ring in the snout of a pig.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously, what's the symbolism behind like using chazer? And like, what would the comparison be between that and like a beautiful woman?
Yeah. So what's the analogy, right? So why, in what sense is a gold ring in the snout of a pig being compared to a beautiful woman whose reason is lacking? That's going to be the main question.
Just did a quick search on reasons for nose rings in farm animals.
Okay.
Because I've seen that in like cartoons before, and I felt like there's got to be a reason for that.
Okay.
So there's a few reasons. One is occasionally to control them,
okay.
Or to help wean them off of suckling.
Okay.
And on pigs specifically, it's to prevent them from rooting.
Interesting. So I that might be relevant, but it might also not be. I just want to check one thing here. I want to see if nezem specifically means jewelry, because if it means ring, then maybe that'd be more open to your interpretation. But if it is if it's specifically jewelry, I know in Chumash it means jewelry by the Cheta Egal. Let's see here. Where are we? 11:22. Nezem. Ring always of gold when materials mentioned. See, I think the only reason why I would say that what you're mentioning is not relevant is this is gold, and you're not going to put gold.
Well, except for that gold is a separate word here. It says nezem zahav. If it would just say nezem,
but it's a gold. I mean? It's a gold ring though.
But meaning like the translation just said that it's always of gold, but that's in that meaning like if it's always of gold, why say zahav here?
No, it's not always a gold. That's my point. Is that
Yeah.
you can have rings, but in the analogy here is a gold nose ring, which seems to be.
But I
more
mean, couldn't
jewelry.
you say like a gold harness or a gold
But
stirrup?
the point is that no one's going to use gold on their pig.
Yeah, but no one's gonna have a gold saddle. I mean, I think the only thing I'm suggesting is that maybe the utility does have an aspect here. Might be a useless utility because it's gold, but
Maybe. Yeah. Okay, so the elements here are. Let me actually just put this here. Elements. Pig equals woman in this mashal. Golden nose ring equals beauty, right? And then sarastam, lacking reason. It's interesting because lacking yeah.
I was equating the golden nose ring to a beautiful woman.
Oh, that's interesting. Hold on. Nezem zav ba'af chazir. Yeah. All right. So let's break this down. Okay. What is the analogy? Which element corresponds to which element? Yeah, maybe that's a better question.
Whatever the analogy is, I am really excited to find
I know.
out.
That's why when you weren't here, I said Ariel would love this pasuk. I don't know where he is. Yeah.
I was having internet trouble.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you know me well.
Yeah. All right. So what are the other questions? Because this is the main question here. This is again odd pasuk. So just Mishlei methodology here. This pasuk is more typical of the pasukim in chapters 25 and on. Chapters 25 and on are usually just like straight up analogies.
Another question is, it seems like this beautiful woman had reason.
Okay.
And
so what does saras mean? Does it mean does it imply that she had reason and it left her, or does it mean that she never had reason in the first place? Yeah.
So the what does beautiful mean in this context, and what is the limits of this statement? Meaning, is this not true about a not beautiful woman?
Okay. Why is beauty emphasized? Is this not true about a non-beautiful woman? Yeah.
And also, like, what the hell is this talking about too? Like, I mean, like, what's the message? Like,
Okay. What is the practical application? I would also say, who is the audience? And I think you would normally be inclined to think that the audience is a man, but I'll remind you that in the end of Mishlei, then when it's talking about the Ashes Chayil, it says Sheker Hachein Veheva Hayofi, that grace is false and beauty is vain, is nothing. So, men are not the only ones who care about beauty in a woman. Women also want to be beautiful. So the question is this addressed to a man or a woman, or both? Yeah.
I mean, and why woman over man?
Yeah. And why phrase it in terms of a woman?
I mean, and also, like, like, what happens if there's a beautiful woman who has reason?
Yeah. I mean, that would seem to be good.
I know.
So let's say, what is the opposite? What are the opposites?
And why a pig?
Yeah. Why specifically a pig?
And what is a woman?
I think you're having too much fun, Ariel.
I'm sorry. I just finished watching the documentary like a couple hours ago.
Okay. All right. This is also one where usually, we don't ask this, but I'll ask it anyway here, which is because I just saw some of the commentators talk about this, which is if this is a metaphor, meaning if woman is a metaphor here, if woman is a metaphor, then what is the metaphor of the allegory? Yeah. Yeah, like I was kind of shocked to see that a lot of people, a lot of Mepharshim take this as the second half as a metaphor, not just the first half. Right.
If like in question 2, that the reason was there and was removed, is there a difference, or is it talking about whether she removed it herself, or if perhaps some external circumstances?
Was removed, how was it removed, and does that matter? Yeah.
It's funny, if they're both metaphors, which metaphor do we start off with first?
Yeah. Well, I feel like, the motion of a metaphor is to go from the known to the unknown. So the known here is the gold ring and the snout of a pig. And then and we would go from that to the other one. All right. I feel like these are all the questions. I mean, yeah, I think that's all the questions. All right, so let us figure this out here. Let's take our moment of thinking. Very simple puzzle compared to what we usually have. Nice, simple one to end on.
It's also very entertaining.
Yes.
Oh, and one more question.
Yeah.
Why specifically Tom and not other types of knowledge?
Okay, yeah, that's actually a good question. So Tom is actually a weird word. I don't even know if that is a biblical Hebrew term. Let me just check here. Tom is definitely used rabbinically, but it went to the wrong parak. Yeah, Tom is strange. All right, let's see what that is in Hebrew. Taste or judgment. Okay. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's actually use judgment here as another translation. Judgment. Okay, so the question is, why specify Tom as opposed to other types of knowledge or reasoning? But you know what we could do? This is not necessary at all, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So I've been really obsessed with this whole AI image generator, Dolly. So we're gonna see if we could generate an image of this. So golden ring in the snout of a pig, and that way we can visualize it. There's usually traffic, so I just got to run it until it takes off. You can go ahead and think.
I can't really think.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, I could take a picture of it or something.
That's okay. And just to remind you about methodology of the analogies, because we haven't actually really had that many like just straight up metaphors or analogies here, is that every analogy or metaphor is going to be highlighting specific qualities to the exclusion of others. So like just to use another pig one, if you said he eats like a pig, so what you mean is that he's very messy when he eats, not that he rolls around in the mud while he eats. So the question is like, which qualities is this isolating, and which qualities is it are not part of the metaphor? Oh, there we go. Okay, so our AI generated some very not very good ones. I guess that's the best one. Yeah, not very caught up here. Yeah. Okay, fine. That did not help.
I don't know if this is going to have any relevance, but a very old saying is you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear.
I've never heard that one before.
Well, Matt, I am old after all. And so that's the thing that immediately came to mind, because there was the gold, which is something beautiful, and a silk purse is beautiful, and then the pig was involved.
Yeah.
So in other words, you can't make something out of something that it's not. So
Yeah.
maybe just put a clip in it and see if it pertains.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's relevant. Yeah. Okay, Yosef.
So I think maybe it's like this: is that the Nezem Zahav Ba'af Chazir, right? Well, I think that's actually the conclusion of what Isha Yafa B'saras Tam is. So I think what it's really saying is then Isha Yafa B'saras Tam is that you're going to look at her and think that her essential quality and her value is that she's beautiful, and that therefore she's like in some way valuable or like good. But in reality, you're really it's Nezem Zav Chazir, meaning that it's just really something like disgusting with a like minor quality,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
it's really saying about beauty that it's really not such an important quality. It's just
Right.
it's just a gold ring on it, the nose of a pig.
Yeah, it's pretty good muscle. Yeah, so just to summarize what you're saying in categorical terms, so it's really making 2 points, right? One is about the gold, and the other is really about the about reason, right? So the point, well, I guess the other way around. One is about reason, that the essential quality really is reason, and if you're lacking reason, then you're really lacking like your essential quality. And then the other point is that if you add a secondary or accidental quality that is good, like no one's going to say that beauty is bad or that a golden ring is bad, but it's not going to enhance the something that's essentially deficient, you know?
You could also say, by the way, that when it says chazir, it doesn't have to mean that it's just disgusting. It could also just mean like animalistic, right? Like just an animal.
Yeah. The only question, I guess, is why does it specify pig? Because it could have just said an animal, you know?
They roll around mud. Like they're more
That's true, right? So
disgusting
it
than
is
other
a
animals.
disgusting animal, right? Right. That's true. Yeah. So I guess that's the question then,
They
because
eat feces.
right, the question then would be, why is a woman who lacks reason not just like lacking? Why is it like actively disgusting, you know?
So actually,
It's
I
against their
I might have
essence.
some thought.
Okay,
Because I was thinking,
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I was gonna support his line of thinking here. Because I was thinking along similar terms, and it kind of sounded similar to me about how the Rambam talks about like the purpose of man,
Yeah.
man being human beings, and that the form of like the soul is reason, and meaning the purpose is reason. And so it's kind of like if you take a light bulb and you paint it prettily and it's a broken light bulb, like the purpose of the light bulb is still to shine light. It doesn't matter if had it worked and then it would have been more pretty, it still doesn't work. It's still a broken light bulb. And
Yeah.
so a beautiful woman, the focus is still that she's a woman. And if she has lost her reason, then she's lost like the purpose of her existence.
Right.
And then
Contradiction.
sorry.
No, it's a contradiction in her existence now. Is that she removed her reason, but that was her purpose the whole time.
Right. Yeah. So she's purposeless, basically.
Right. Okay. All right. That's good. Okay, Ariel.
I'll let Rifki go first.
Okay, Rivki.
Okay. And actually, that's like funny because my idea was like actually very in line with like what was just said, and I didn't want to cut Ariel off. But I was actually just thinking like about why would specifically use pig and not a different type of animal.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about like all the Gemaras that we learn about like the difference between like pigs and, now I'm literally forgetting the other animal, but there was like two animals that like are like the tricky ones. I can't remember what the other one is.
Camel.
Camel?
Well, camel, I mean, the animals of the Torah specify. So camel is one, then hyrax is the other.
Definitely
then
not
what's
what I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
My point is though, is that like a pig is one of them because like of the split
Yeah.
hooves and like all that kind of stuff.
Right, it shows its hooves and says, "Look, I'm kosher," but it really doesn't chew its cud.
Exactly. So like,
Yeah.
people would think that it's actually a kosher animal. And I think that I was thinking it could be an interesting
Oh, that's
reason
interesting.
as to why it's used here, because that's like along the lines of what Zach was just saying, that, it could be that she, was presenting herself in a way that she did have that reason, she did have that judgment. But in reality, like, you shouldn't be fooled by those things, because I think also oftentimes like our psychology just works that when we see an attractive person, that we automatically assume that like, they are smarter, they are this or that. And like, that's why we have presidents that are elected that, shouldn't necessarily be elected.
Right.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And I think like all of these reasons could be why specifically she's compared to a pig, and also like what that has to do with beauty and reason.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So you're saying that the emphasis with the pig is is not just what the pig is, but the fact that it's like tricky, that it like it.
It's more of like a halakhic, like whatever perspective. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
a pshat necessarily reason, but yeah.
Right. In
Also,
our culture,
it doesn't happen to be scientifically that they are like very smart. So like you could throw that in some.
I don't think they knew back then, but definitely the kosher thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So in other words, you're emphasizing the fact, not just the animalistic nature or the disgusting nature, the fact that it does have a sign of kashrus and makes it look like it's kosher, but it's really not. So same thing with a woman who is beautiful. I think they call it the halo effect, right? Where you see someone with a good quality and then you attribute to them other good qualities.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. That's a good alternate explanation. Okay, Ariel, go ahead.
All right, I don't know if it's similar, but to what everyone else is saying, because I wasn't really paying attention so much. But maybe you could say that the golden nose ring is, I'm equating it to the woman. And the snout of a pig is, the judgment or the counsel being removed, right? So like the golden nose ring, there is value, like inherent value to the golden nose ring. It's a precious item. It's like, I think back in the day, like that's what they used to use for jewelry to make yourself look good and whatever. And if you put it on a pig, on a snout of a pig, it's literally like the pig, what the pig is doing, with the front of his body is kind of like just like eating from like mud, or like bathing in mud, and like kind of like you're automatically taking the golden nose ring and just ruining it by putting it on the snout of a pig.
You're
Right.
like wasting it.
Yeah.
It's waste of, it's like you're destroying something that has value for no apparent reason whatsoever. That's basically what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So too with the beautiful woman, like she has a lot of potential. She has she can use your beauty for good or for whatever reason. And she's kind of like, because of her lack of judgment or lack of reason, she's kind of like, and this is the part where I have to like assume a few things. Like she I don't know, she'll either, I don't know, like do inappropriate things or like ruin her body or whatever it is, because she has no guidance or nothing to go off of.
Right.
Now I think that the whole plus is kind of a metaphor to something else. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't necessarily think that the chiddush of the pasuk is in the woman or in her losing judgment specifically.
Yeah. Okay, so just I'm going to add a question here, which is, what is the subject of the pasuk, right? Because the way you were going up until that last sentence is that the subject is beauty, and that beauty really is like a waste if it is on someone who lacks reason, just like a golden nose ring is a waste if it's on a pig, because it's just going to get dirtied and not really like, do what it's supposed to do. But then if the subject is the woman, or if the subject is the man who's attracted by the woman, like depending on how you frame the subject, then you're going to get a different idea, I think.
So I want to say that somewhere within this puzzle, the idea has something to do with taking something of value and ruining it.
Uh-huh.
That's what I want to say that the idea is somewhere.
Okay.
I just don't know. I don't see, I for some reason, I don't see it. I see it more as a metaphor
Yeah.
than as something within the pasuk specific. I don't know if I'm explaining myself well.
Okay.
But
So no, I think what you're saying is clear. So I guess let's consolidate what we have here. I mean, how many ideas are we saying here? Because I feel like because this is one metaphor, then it's very easy to like lose all the nuances when we have different people saying different things, you know? So like we have the idea of let me state what I perceive as what has been said so far, and then we'll separate it into different categories here. So we have one idea that if you take the pasuk that it is about a woman, so the essence of a human being is really their reasoning, and it's a accidental quality if they're beautiful. So if you have a person with the accidental quality without the essence, so then it is it's kind of like valueless. Like the light bulb analogy was a good analogy, right? Like the essence of a light bulb is to illuminate. So if it's painted really nicely, then that's a nice decoration, but that's not what a light bulb is, you know. So same thing with the pig, that the essence of a pig is a dirty animal that eats and rolls around in the mud. So you can't enhance that by putting something beautiful on it, you know? So let's just take that idea. So if that is the idea, so then what is the practical, if that's what the metaphor is, then who's this for? What's the subject? What's the practical application here?
So that seems not so hard, because you could say that
Yeah.
Practical is pretty easy, is that in a situation where you might be distracted by someone's beauty, or when there is someone beautiful, you need to make sure to like double check yourself to make sure that you're not being fooled, right?
Right. So now see, so that makes me think, you know, so this is really where there's like an intuitive question of how much of a new point do you demand from the pasuk? Like that to me makes sense, but it also seems obvious. And that's why I would kind of look to like, what nuance are we getting from the analogy of the pig with the nose ring specifically, you know? Because like we know from the Torah that the essence of human being is the is the intellect.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, can you just
that's why I think that. Yeah, say it again, Rifki.
Can you just repeat what you're confused about? Like what
Yeah,
you missed?
yeah. I mean, I think what you said answers it, but I'll set it up again. That if the only point of the pasuk is to say that like the essence of a human is the reasoning and the appearance is secondary, and you should pay attention to the essence and not the secondary quality, so then that's like an obvious idea. So what is it teaching us new? You know, it says in Bereshit that God created man with Tselem Elohim, and Tselem Elohim is the essence, you know? So that's why I would be tempted to look for the new point at the specific analogy of the pig, you know? And then what you said, Rifki, I think points to that, which is, what did you say? I had it in my head for a second. Oh, yeah. That it is specifically something that fools you, and like the halo effect, right? That you assume, see, in other words, the mistake is not that you assume that the human, right? The mistake is not that you assume that beauty is essential. The mistake is that you assume that beauty is indicative of the essential perfection. That if she's beautiful, she must also be perfected. You know, that's the mistake. And that's why it's giving this like very, very, very obvious example analogy, which is that, you know, no one would think that a pig is beautiful just because it has a golden nose ring. Like, yeah, the purpose of jewelry is to beautify the wearer, but a golden nose ring does not beautify the pig, you know? Right. So the question is, how does this help you practically, right?
oh, wait a minute. Is that what you just said? Could that be the Havmina?
Go on.
Meaning like the you know, people may think that the golden nose ring on a pig may actually somehow beautify the pig at some level, but in reality it's not, right? So too, a beautiful woman without any reason, people may perceive that as like a you know, oh wow, she's beautiful, that's all I really need. But in reality, she's just dull. You know,
Right.
there's nothing there.
Yeah. I mean, I would state it the other way, right? Is that the Havamina, like what you would think is that a woman who is beautiful is going to be good or adequate or like excellent, and this is, and then by comparing it to the pig, it's saying, well, no one would think that a pig is enhanced by a nose ring. So the essence, because at the end of the day, it's a pig. So at the end of the day, this is a woman who lacks reason. So in other words, really, what you should view it as. Like the question that we had here about what about a woman who's not beautiful? Really, a woman who is not beautiful and lacks reason, and a woman who is beautiful and lacks reason are the same, and you should not be distracted by the beauty. If anything, the beauty is even worse because the beauty is going to cause you to project additional qualities onto her. So that's, I think, like one approach. Yeah, Zach.
Yeah, I like that. I was also thinking that, like, as you're saying that that they're the same. I have another idea that I just have a pre-question to is
Sure.
Is the pig something that like we're not supposed to get any benefit from? Like you're not supposed to get
you
enough
can get
from?
benefit from it. It's just you can't eat it. Yeah.
So let me think another second then about this idea.
All right,
Well, I mean, I can sort of say the idea, but I guess it's just weakened a little bit by because I wanted to say that there's some kind of uselessness in a pig.
Well, I'll give you one. I'll give you one thing. Let me just see if I can find it really quickly. Just 1 second. I'm going to try to support it in halacha. This might help you. Okay, I'm going to go to obscure source here. Rambam in Sefer Nezikin or Nezakim, whatever you call it, in Hilchos Rutzeach Ushmiras Nefesh Chazir. Nope, that's not it. Hold on, give me 1 second. I gotta find it. Where does he have it? Chobel Mazik? Chazir? No. Oh, wait, was that it? No. Yeah. Okay, so this is an obscure halacha. I don't know how we hold by this practically. This is in Hilchos Nizkei Mamon, Perek He Halacha Tes. So the Chachamim, the sages prohibited people to raise pigs. V'lo esa kelev elim kein hay kasher b'shel sheles, and you can't have a dog unless it is has a leash. Aval magadol hu klavim be'ir hasmuch l'saper l'sefer b'yom kosher v'layla matir v'amru chachamim or magadol klavim v'chazirim mipnei shehizikam ruba and watzai. So the reason why they prohibited these things is that these were considered to be dangerous animals. I guess because pigs can, I think I don't know what kind of pigs they had back then. I don't know if it's like the kind of
boars.
Yeah, boars are very dangerous,
Hannibal, like the dude.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
even regular pigs can they have extremely strong jaws
Yeah.
and can like bite through flesh.
Yeah, I think there's things of like
Very
pigs like
venomous.
eating like babies and stuff, yeah. So I don't know if that helps you, Zach, but that's all I have to offer. That pigs are like can be dangerous.
That's interesting. Not exactly.
Okay.
I'll for now I'll just refer to it
Sure.
as useless in the culinary aspects
Yeah,
of
sure.
of our life.
All right,
So I think I was trying to take an approach where this pasuk takes up the topic of or differentiating between purpose and utility.
yeah.
And
Like purpose of existence.
yeah, meaning like a meaning of something, exactly, and utility being just like a function.
Right.
So in the second half, it's easier, I guess, because we already talked about how the purpose of man is to have reason, or is to utilize the reason, and beauty doesn't change that. The purpose
Right.
is still the same. And in the first half, I was trying to think like how I would approach it if I took the nose ring to have a utilitarian purpose, a utility, sorry, from what I looked up, and how it would change how I analyze this. And I was thinking that if a pig is, so to speak, purposeless, since like you can't eat it anyway, then enhancing its utility doesn't change the bottom line. Meaning, like, you can add all the features you want onto something that's not going anywhere, and it won't change it.
Right.
And then I was thinking that there's another layer, like there's purpose, utility, and then there's a third thing. I don't have a good word for it. Because I was thinking like, okay, well, if there is a utility, then what is zahav? Like what is gold? And like what is beauty? Meaning, like, if the purpose of a woman is to have reason, I don't think that it removes the purpose of beauty. I think that beauty and zahav still have their
Right.
roles. Meaning, like, the menorah is made out of gold, and there's Mishnah. The Mishnah says that like a Talmud Chacham should have like a beautiful wife, and so like there's purpose and meaning to beauty and to gold, but it's kind of follows like a hierarchy, so to speak, and so you can add, if you take away the main function, which is the purpose, then whether you add utility, or whether you add this other category, this beautifying category, they're both meaningless without having the purpose element. And once you have the purpose element, then you can add utility, which is nice, and you can add this beautifying feature, which, that then would be valuable in that
Okay,
context.
so the question is, I agree with your idea, like as a philosophical idea. The question is, can we translate that into a practical idea? Like the way we had it before is that it's a practical warning about people who are going to mistake a secondary enhancement for a primary, like an essential perfection.
Yeah. So I think that it's similar, meaning like the idea is still pretty similar. I think that it's also like a universal warning about like, I think it's just it's a kind of like a guide to whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever you're working on, whether it's yourself or a project or a relationship or anything, that to look for the purpose of it, and to not confuse beautifying it and having utility with the ultimate purpose. So, I mean, like a relationship maybe is another example, where you could say like, people sometimes want to look good in public as a couple, but that's actually a useless element to the relationship. And utility is like, maybe you guys have a good schedule combination, like some utility factor. But both of those two things are useless without the underlying purpose. And so it's maybe by categorizing these three things, it helps us, make decisions and progress.
What are the three? Utility, purpose, and what?
The third one I don't have a good name for, but beautifying, I guess.
Okay. And like enhancement of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here that's a good idea. So then the difference between the first approach. So the first approach really is more specifically about human beings. Your approach is much more about like categorically about things and their purposes and like enhancements. Yeah. I think Sadigun's going to take a similar approach to you, which we can look at after when we go to the Farshim.
I can see that. I can see Zach's thoughts applied to a teacher.
Yeah.
He has purpose. He's got to transmit information to the classroom. Utility, that it's his job. That's how he earns his money, whatever. And the third part, which is enhancement, if he's a really great, he's witty, he's personable, he has a quality that students are attracted to his lectures. I'm thinking of one particular person right now. Sorry. But that's a way to, that's an example.
Yeah. I remember when I was considering going into teaching, then I asked Rabbi Fox. Rabbi Fox had very, very good classroom management, and so I asked him, like, how do you keep your students on task? And he said, the first question you have to ask yourself is, what is the task? Because he said, if the task is not valuable, then there's no point in keeping your students on it. Similarly, like, I've seen a lot of teachers who are very like personable and like friendly, which is a good quality that enhances teaching. But if that's the only thing that you have and you can't actually teach, or if you're lacking other things, then it could be a detriment. Yeah. Ariel?
Okay, I don't know if you were combining in the first approach. I don't know if you were when you were restating the approaches. I don't know if you were combining my approach to like Rifki's approach.
Yeah, I was.
Okay, you were. Okay, fine. So now your question is like, what's the new idea, right? Like really, like,
I answered that by combining. That's why I combined it with Rifki's approach. But if you have another answer, you can say, yeah.
I have another interesting thought that I think it's more of an add-on, not like a full new idea. Maybe you could say that the mushal, or the, I think the mushal is or the nimshal. Is it the nimshal? The nimshal is what the idea you get out of the mushal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe the nimshal is from the pasuk is that like in life, we we are attracted to many different things that look good.
Yeah.
Because they're very appealing. They for whatever reason, right? Now, however, that's a very superficial way of looking at things. Now, you want to be drawn to something that has chachma or has reason to something.
Yeah.
So, and I'm kind of getting that from the question we answered, the difference between a beautiful woman and a normal woman.
Yeah.
Because a beautiful woman it's attractive, right? But in reality, there's really no tom to it.
Okay.
So I'm kind of getting the idea from there.
I'm not getting your idea.
The idea, or how the idea relates to the
Your
pasuk?
idea.
Okay. The idea is, sometimes we're drawn to something. Let's say I'm drawn to, I don't know, to clubs, to a rave, where like people are doing really inappropriate things because it just looks good. It's just like it's fun to think about, or like whatever it is, it's like a cool vibe, but in reality, that may sound appealing or look appealing, but in reality, there's really like no chachma to it.
Right.
There's like no actual, positive thing you can actually walk away from that.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm curious about is how similar is that to Zach's idea? Let's read one of the Mefarshim here and just see what this goes, where it leads. Yeah, Yosef? After you have your COVID fit? Yeah, sorry.
I think I have another question on like our Martin Rifki's like interpretation of the pasuk, which is why would it use specific? I still don't get why pig over like a trap or some kind of other other kind of deceiving thing. Like, it's not really such a good.
Well, I think what Rivki was saying, and this is my understanding, what Rivki was saying, is like the way Chazal talk about the pig is not just like you might think it's kosher, it's that it shows its kosher signs and says, look, I'm kosher, and really it's not. So trap is something you don't think is harmful, and it is harmful. This is something you think is good, and it's really bad. So like as animals, then this is like a good a good example.
And
Yeah,
maybe
I
a way.
I also think that it just helps in terms of like visualizing it. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
go ahead. Yeah.
like very helpful in terms of like we always say Mishlei is like a very like practical book, and that's what's so helpful is that you really visualize the ideas, and that's how you really implement them. And I think on top of what we were saying, I think like that's another reason why it uses that.
Yeah.
I think there's also a way you could like translate it into the second half, which is that a beautiful woman whose judgment is removed isn't necessarily someone who's obviously dull and has no thoughts, but it could be someone who projects as if they do have thoughts and puts on this front of having judgment and reason and counsel, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there is any depth to that judgment.
Yeah, I had a weird example of this that I encountered today. I was reading an article about, and I don't have any political views on this matter, but it was just a question that came up. Is I saw that someone quoted was talking about the Russia-Ukraine situation, and they were saying like how there are certain political leaders that are saying that Ukraine should just like cede its territory in order to make peace with Russia, and then it quoted Henry Kissinger saying that like Henry Kissinger is in favor of that. So I'm thinking to myself, and the reason why they quoted him is that Kissinger was like very, very, very like active and instrumental like through like his what do you call his like the politics with the Soviet Union, so like he really understands this. So I'm thinking like, isn't Kissinger really, really old? Like, what if he used to be a like political like mastermind, and maybe his judgment has been removed? Like people are continuing to relate to him like a political mastermind, and maybe he's just not, So like I guess that's leaning more into the removed thing, but yeah. Okay, let's see some of our team here and just see what we get. Okay, so Sadigon is the one that I think is most similar to Ariel and maybe Zach. I will have to read it and see where it leads. Oopsies. What did I do? I always hate when I do that. Sadigon says, Tchila ze pshuto, kipshuto. So at first, this is like symbol meaning. Okay, so I assume that's like our interpretations, whatever those are. But then he says, V'lios mashal, if you're going to say it's a metaphor, yitachin al adam shish lo mamon ve'inu yadea lenahel oso. So this is an interesting thing. It's comparable to a person who has money but doesn't know how to manage it or how to spend it. Okay, and I gotta have a little plug here for a podcast that I've been listening to a lot by Ramit Sethi called what's it called? Hold on, I'm listening. I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It is this he's a successful financial guy. But he talks to, it's couples counseling about money psychology, okay? And he talks to people who are like on the one end of the spectrum, like listen to an episode today that this couple like has a net worth of like $5 million, and like the wife can't bring herself to spend any money. Like she because she grew up in poverty, so she just can't psychologically bring herself to spend. And then you have like on the other end of the spectrum, you have like couples who are like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and like the husband is just like continuing to like spend money on like frivolous things, and what this guy does is he like talks to them about the way that they psychologically relate to money, not giving particular financial advice, but just like helping them unpack their psychological stuff, but the point that he makes, comment to everything is like ultimately the good of money is its utility, so if you have money, like people view having money as the essence, but that's not the essence. The essence is knowing how to manage it, meaning to not like lose it, and knowing how to spend it intelligently. Like if you're wasting it or if you're not managing it and you're losing it, so then why do you have money? It's just not it's not going to serve its purpose.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Okay, so I a few years ago in Rabbi Markowitz's Pirkei Avos Shiur,
yeah, we
were discussing, and I forgot exactly where it was, but I think there was a mashal in there also. I think the Rambam or someone on the Purge does it, like where there's a difference between someone like throwing money into the river versus someone spending money on like a bad business venture or whatever. There's like an actual practical difference because it's funny, like the Rosatico's bringing this up because like in the back of my mind, like this sounds similar, but like I'm like, I don't know. It's not like
which one was worse? What was the
throwing the money into the river. Because on the other guy, at the very least, he has a recognition of the value of money.
Right.
It's just you have to educate him on what to do with the money so that he can make better investments.
Right. Yeah.
But the first guy who just throws it to the river, he clearly has no concept of what the money can do for you.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what Sadiq's going off of with the golden ring in the snout of a pig, because I mean, whether you say that the purpose of a gold ring is to beautify or whether you say the purpose is its value, you're not using it if you put it on a pig. It's not beautifying the pig and it's just getting covered in mud,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Then he gives other examples. Or a person who has wisdom but does not act according to it. So that's another thing, is that like wisdom is only valuable insofar as it's real to you and like you live according to chachma. So if you're not living according to it, then it's not doing you any good. The adam, third example, the adam sheish lo ma'amad v'yichus, or a person who has like a prominent position or like a lineage, but he wastes it and he degrades himself. That's the mashal. So all these cases are cases where you have like the essential quality, but you're not using it properly, and therefore it's as if you didn't have it. Yeah, Joseph.
Can I give a completely separate approach, or do you?
Yeah, just 1 second. Let's just touch this up for 1 second. So I feel like what I heard from Zach, this is closest to Zach's approach about like when you well, it's not exactly the same, but it does have to do with like the purpose of the thing, like if you have the thing and you're completely disregarding its purpose, then the thing is valueless. Zach's has to do with enhancing like in a secondary way. This is like, the guy has money and he thinks that the essence is having it, but really it has to do with how you use it. He has chachma, but he doesn't act according to it. He has a prominence, but he like degrades it, Anything else we can get from the Sadigon? But that's taking it metaphorically. Yeah.
Sadigon's actually is not like completely straight, because like having chachma, not like acting on it, how is that equivalent to like what was the other one? Having like
money and not using it?
Yeah, well, or like kibud, like destroying your own kavod. Like when you destroy your own kavod, it's not like it's not the same. You're actively destroying the thing you have, whereas when you have chachma and you don't act on it, it's not like you're destroying chachma.
Yeah, it's not you're destroying it, but it's saying that it's not like reaching fulfillment. Like the whole point of having chachma is to live according to it. Not just to like, it's not just like a mind game where you just like have pleasing ideas.
But it's weird that he gives like the antithesis to like to having kavod, or where it's like it's bizoy. It's not that he just doesn't use it, right?
Yeah.
But then by chachma he says it's just not applied, right? Where it's just neutral.
I don't know how. Your point is definitely valid. I don't know how exact he's being in the second part of the analogy. It could just be that he's giving examples of what people actually do. Where like they like let's say an example. Like let's say like you are the let's say like you're the son of a politician, so you have like a last name that has like wide brand recognition, and you just don't use it, like the essence you don't use it, whether you don't use it or whether you like tarnish it. I think in terms of the usage of the essential thing, then that's the main point. He just might be
I feel like a way we could have literal chachma is and watch it play out that way is with computer programming. Like you have a string of code that's like knowledge, so to speak. Then if you don't run it, then
right, so what's the point?
it was a completely wasted string of code.
Right. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I think that's his idea. Yeah, Yosef, what's your separate approach?
So maybe we can actually generalize what we were saying earlier. That really like there is a certain emotion to attach to things based on like a single quality, right? Despite not looking at the thing's essence,
Yeah.
right? And like for example, if you just looked at the golden ring on the pig, right? You
Yeah.
think, whoa, that's really valuable and that's
Right.
really like a great thing.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is that like you have to like there has to be a certain removal from that. And you have to be able to see that no, it really is just a pig. Right.
Right.
And that it's not, it's like I'm saying it's really like metaphorical of the woman. It's not like it doesn't have to be literal with the woman. It could be, right? It could just be about beauty. But I think another approach is that it could be more general, just about that we attach to single qualities.
So, okay, so, something about what you said sparked an interesting thought. So I'm just going to express the thought, and if it doesn't relate to what you said, then we'll have to tie it back, go back. But like, it is interesting. Let's say you had a golden coin. Okay, so golden coin that has value. You know, like the purpose of the coin is to be like a transferable form of value. Purpose of a golden nose ring, the golden nose ring has value, but the purpose in terms of it being jewelry is to enhance the beauty of the wearer, you know? So it is interesting how like I was thinking about this because you were talking about if you look at the golden ring in isolation, then like it does have value, but that's not really what jewelry is for. Jewelry is to be worn. I don't know where I'm going with this.
I'm confused. Yeah, I'm lost.
Oh, well, I can make you not lost. I just don't know if this relates to what you're saying. I'm saying that like if the pasuk said, you know, like a golden coin next to a pig. So then I say, okay, just take the coin, you know, like coins have value. But by saying a golden nose ring in the snout of a pig, so that is actually like a corruption of the thing. Like the purpose of jewelry is to be worn, not to be spent. It happens to have monetary value, but its purpose is to be worn, you know? So like, you know, the mistake of looking at the thing in isolation, you can't. In others, I guess what I'm saying is, in the analogy, you can't look at jewelry in isolation. Jewelry is something that is worn by people. You know. Say what you were saying again. I don't know if this is relevant.
I'm saying that here, can you just scroll up so I can see the post?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
All right. So what I'm saying is that I'm kind of just really generalizing the idea before, which is that there's a certain trend to just like an emotion to just like look at a single quality that's positive and deny like the underlying reality that something's bad.
Yeah.
Right. Or that it's missing its essential, like its essence or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's saying that really like, despite that, you have to really just look at it like a really like just disgusting thing.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to, and it's saying that really the point is that I think it's saying here, it would read like this, right? The general case is Nezem Zahav Ba'af Chazir, right? Mm-hmm. And they're saying those cases are like an Isha Yafa V'Saras Tam, right?
Okay.
Is that things that are like, actually, I'm not sure. I'm really tired. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh wait, can I take over for?
I'm not sure.
Actually,
I just want to add one thing. Just the way to read it, though, the obvious point is supposed to be the golden ring and the snout of the pig, and the thing it's teaching you about is the beautiful woman without reason.
Yeah. I'm really tired. I need to think about this.
You also got COVID. That's a good excuse.
I don't have COVID. It's something else. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Either way, you're sick. Yeah, go ahead, Zach. Yeah.
So it is spark of thought, and I'm not sure if this is what he's saying, but it might be. But there's a tendency that we have as socially to choose certain qualities to admire, even if they're not the purposeful qualities of that thing. So, for example, maybe similar to a beautiful woman, is people will sometimes be extremely like in awe or like really admire an athlete and say, oh, but this person is a totally corrupt, degenerate human being.
Yeah.
And like, no, I'm not talking about that part of them. I really admire their ability to hit a ball far. So this is saying like choosing the thing that is not the purpose as a thing to focus on and admire is not maybe the healthiest approach, and rather you should recognize that it's just, some meaningless thing in a more disgusting overall larger picture.
Here's the thing. This is why I like Rivki's approach, because if your goal is to get the person who can hit the ball far, so then it doesn't matter what the essence is, like let's say you're hiring a person to do manual labor. So you want someone who's strong and has endurance, even though that's not the essential quality of a human being.
Yeah, but our goal right now, right, is to achieve, well, I mean, I guess you could say, so I kind of get what you're saying, but my mindset was that we're trying to kind of be successful humans.
Right.
And if the goal is to be a successful human, then singling out these qualities that are not what it means to be a successful human and saying that this in isolation is a good quality is similar. And there's even a practical application of this, because if, let's say, you're running a business and you want to hire someone, you say, well, I don't care that they're a corrupt person, that they're really good at sales and I just need them to run sales. Well, if that's how you run your company, eventually you're going to get that's going to come and ruin your ultimate goals.
Right. I mean, but in that case, that has to do with that particular deficiency. But let's say you say, I don't care if they're ugly as long as they can do sales. So then that would be a totally fine decision. That's why that's why I'm saying I feel like you have to take one of two directions. Either the pasuk is talking about what makes a successful marriage specifically, and saying that beauty is not the important thing, but reason is. So it's localized to the beautiful woman who lacks reason, or like Rivki was saying, where the pasuk is highlighting a particular mistake, which is the person who has the pasuk, who the pasuk is talking to, knows that he's looking for a reason, but the pasuk is telling him, don't mistake beauty for other good qualities.
So you don't think that there's a generalized approach, but that doesn't have that exact same point? Meaning it's sort of saying that you might say, oh, I'm just looking for a good salesperson, and focus on someone who has the qualities of a good salesperson, and ignore the purpose of what a person is, or what of the greater purpose of all things.
Yeah,
meaning why you do
not a woman, basically. You're saying, can you generalize this any person, any situation, the president example that I gave?
Right. Yeah, I don't think you do need to care about all the qualities of a human being if you're relating to them in a utilitarian framework. I do agree that there are certain qualities that a person might have that might affect your utility, and if you just focus on the utility itself without contemplating how this is going to affect it, then that's a mistake. I just don't think that's a generalizable thing for all cases.
Well, I sort of feel like there is a way to value humanity, human beings in general. There's some metric of are they fulfilling what a human is meant to be? And at times, I think we have a tendency to isolate things that have nothing to do with that and say, this person was really, really beautiful. This person was really, really athletic. Right. This person, I don't know, ate the most amount of hamburgers in a minute, Right. And you isolate these random things. And I think that's part of what he's warning us about, is that being able to do something that's not for the purpose of its existence really, really well is still not useful and not worth looking at as a useful
I totally
thing.
buy your point. I think maybe if I had to isolate what I'm having a hard time with here is if the point is you have your eyes set on utility A or quality A for a certain utility.
No. So I think that sorry, but to jump in, but I think it's that you have your eye on the wrong quality. I think that's the point here, is that you might get distracted by the beauty of a woman because you're forgetting that you're not seeing in that moment that she has no judgment. But if you realize that it's the same as a ring in a pig, you realize while you're seeing that ring, you're very aware of the fact that this is a pig you're looking at, and it doesn't really change anything. So when you get distracted by something that you think is great, and that's what your eye is on, then realize that there's a greater context, and that in the context of what it's in, it's actually meaningless. And so the fact that someone was able to lift 500 pounds or eat, 75, hot dogs or whatever it is, like in the end of the day, you might be impressed in the moment, but just like zoom out a moment and realize that this is just the ring in a pig's nose.
But again, if I am hiring moving men to move my furniture, I really don't care about their other qualities. I just care about, like, are they going to follow orders and like be strong enough to move the furniture, So like,
okay, so if I were to apply it to that framework,
yeah,
then I would say that this moving company, they have the most colorful looking vans and they play the best music.
yeah,
Wow, no other moving company does that. I'm
right,
so impressed. Maybe I should hire them.
right. Yeah.
So it's
So
like
if your only
you're
point is
getting
look at the essence, then that makes sense. And that, I think, is the point Sadigan was making, right? Is that you have to look at like the essence and make sure that the essence is intact
that
and like functional.
that's true. I think what I got from Yosef that seemed a little different is that it was talking about a particular tendency that we have as human beings to focus on non-essential qualities that seem extraordinary but are not because of the context.
Okay, I hear that. Yeah, I hear that. So it's a question of what mistake it is. Yeah, Yosef.
All I was saying is just similar to Rifki, which is that there's the halo effect and that there's denial, right? That we just go into denial of the essential quality when we are attracted to a certain thing. That's why charm is so powerful, which is that people like either see themselves in someone or see something friendly in someone, and then therefore they get distracted from what their goal actually is. And so that's what I'm just saying, that we could generalize before, that it's not just about Nisha Yafa. All I was saying, what I was trying to say before was that I was just saying we could generalize it to any case where you might be distracted by the secondary quality.
Yeah. So now the question is that are we saying one idea or two ideas or three ideas, right? So I'm going to call Rivki's idea the halo effect idea, right? Where you are the essential mistake is you're taking a good quality and then projecting other qualities based on that. Then there's the idea where you are Sadigon's idea, where you are assessing something and like not actually looking at it in terms of its essence. Like you think that the essence of money is having money as opposed to how you use it, or the essence of chachma is having it and not like acting according to it. And then there's this other thing that you guys are saying now, which is being distracted by a quality that is not contextually like appropriate, not contextually like what you're actually like should be focused on. Yeah. All right. So those are three related things. All right, let's do one more of the Mefarshim at least, and then see what we get here. Let's do Rבינו Yona. I haven't read him yet, but I feel like he is probably going to be good because that's Rבינו Yona. All right. He says, Nezim Zahav Chazir. So this pasuk is telling you that just as jewelry is secondary to bodies, or like an adornment to bodies, so too the body is secondary to the rational soul. And just as a disgusting body is not beautified by jewelry, that's the pig, so too someone who's lacking intelligence cannot be enhanced by beauty of the body. It uses the example of a beautiful woman because that's how men tend to look at women. They look for the most beautiful one. Therefore, it's saying that a woman who lacks intellect is not going to be beautified based on her appearance or her form. Just like a body of a pig is not going to be beautified by a golden nose ring. Because when the essence is inferior and lacking, it will not be enhanced by something secondary. V'amar David HaMelech alav shalom hamasbia b'tuv adecha. Let me just look that up and see what the translation of that is. 103.5, 103.5. 103, almost there. 5 says, who satiates your mouth with goodness so that your youth is renewed like the eagle. Okay, what does that mean? That is that a body is considered to be the jewelry of the soul. Oh, the body is the jewelry of the soul. Because it's secondary to the soul. Just like jewelry is secondary to the body. In other words, I guess if you have a beautiful body, so then that can enhance the soul. Like it's going to make people, let's say, like, you know, be attracted to you more and like listen to your chachma, or like you're going to be more influential, blah, blah, blah. But like it's not going to enhance something that is deficient in intellect. The second reason is the soul does its actions through the limbs. Therefore, the body is called its jewelry. Okay, so that's he's refuting a secondary idea or secondary interpretation. Okay, fine. So I don't know what he added here.
I really like the way he articulated it, though.
Yeah, it was very, very nice way of articulating the idea. I think it's consistent with the approaches that we take. Let's do the Matsudas David, who usually has a nice, straightforward idea. Nezem zahav kamo ilu yasimu nezem zahav afchazir. Just as if you put a golden nose ring in the snout of a pig, hine lo tishmor haadi hazel his kashed ba. There we go. So this is a different idea. Then that jewelry will not be preserved to beautify it. Aval tilachlech osa betsavar, betsoa, but the jewelry will become dirtied through like feces. Kain derech isha yafa, so too a beautiful woman, asher saramin tam, who's lacking reason, the etza v'atzas hachachma, and like a wise counsel. Kilo tishmor yafa, her beauty will not be preserved. Lahamosar la, as an advantage to her. Ki'im lahanesar la. Hold on. Oh, lahamutar la, ki'im lahanesar la. It will not be preserved for the one who is mutter, who is permissible to her, but only to the one who is usher to her. I don't know why he's putting it in musar and usher. V'nesar v'nemar l'mashal al mishem mata chachma ve'enu mishtamish ba l'chachma satora ki'im l'ramos habrius v'chadama. Okay, this is a mashal for someone who uses who has chachma but doesn't use it for chachma of Torah, but rather uses it to deceive people. Okay, so let's break this into two things. First thing he's saying in the mashal is not that the pig is not enhanced, but that the pig is going to dirty the jewelry. So too, a woman who is beautiful, her lack of reason is going to sully her beauty. That's a different way than we've approached it. Right. And I think like the example of this is like, I think there are, I don't know if everyone knows people who are like this in real life, but certainly in movies, it's a stereotype of like a beautiful woman who is a jerk or who is annoying or who is like constantly like doing things that like create problems, So what happens is you can't enjoy the beauty because she's ruining your life, So it's like, you want to be able to enjoy the beauty, but you're prevented from enjoying the beauty because her lack of reason causes her to do a bunch of other things that make your life miserable. That's the muscle with you want to enjoy the golden nose ring, but if you put it on a pig, it's going to get all dirtied and like nasty.
I wonder if he might even be taking it a step further and saying that the beauty, instead of working for her, now might work against her.
Right.
In the sense that, and that's where I'm wondering if this is what he meant by mutter and usher, which is like those healthy relationships that she could have developed will no longer be like interested in her, let's say, and those unhealthy ones, meaning the ones that maybe are like the degenerates, the people who are gonna use and manipulate or whatever, those are the ones who are gonna be attracted to her now, and so this beauty now is hurting her rather than helping her.
Okay, so I have an example of this, and again, I did not follow the story. I feel like it was just all over the news, so like it crept into my consciousness, is the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, and like, I honestly did not know who Amber Heard was, but like I guess she was like, I mean, she's a beautiful actress, right? So those qualities could have all worked in her favor, but what happened with the trial is like all those same qualities become like, I mean, she became hated by people because like she's this obnoxious, like weird, like wheedling, like a person, and like all those same qualities that could have been to her advantage became like turned against her because now they're just like like she's like this entitled celebrity, yeah, that's an example of this. Now he says that this is a mushal. Again, I guess he's not content with saying that this is just about women. It's a mushal for someone who has chachma, but they use it to trick people instead of like using it to appreciate chachma itself. That's an interesting application.
Meaning, like, if we look at like a person's, like we said before that like not using chachma is like a lack of fulfillment of it. It's like it makes it pointless. Right. So here is again taking it a step further. We're saying that not only are you not utilizing it, but you're not going to utilize it to damage yourself further by turning into this, corrupted individual.
Yeah. So
you're
the question
corrupting
is,
the chachma.
Yeah, you're corrupting the chachma. Yeah, that's the point he's going to be making, is that not that you're being corrupted. In the way he took it with the jewelry is that the jewelry is being dirtied, so the chachma is being dirtied.
Would that be like a Russia then? Because doesn't a Russia?
Yeah, that's a good example, because the way we learn a Russia is that the Russia has to have chachma in order to really succeed as a Russia. Yeah. So the question is like, who cares if you're corrupting the chachma? What was that?
How does chachma get corrupted?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, right? I mean, it's certainly corrupting the reputation of chachma. Like if you have let's imagine there's unfortunately cases of like rabbis who are involved in scandals, but usually those don't involve chachma, So like if you had a case of like someone who was who used their chachma to like swindle people, then it's going to give chachma a bad reputation. I guess you do have that with religious the way people view religious authorities, people who use their position of religious authority to like do evil. It damages the reputation of the here's an example. All right, so again, if you want a movie to watch, we watched this over Pesach. What is it called? About the female CEO.
No.
Dropout.
Yeah, was it the Dropout?
I think.
Yeah, the Dropout, right.
Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah, the Dropout, who was about Elizabeth, what was her name? Elizabeth Holmes?
Yeah.
Yeah, Elizabeth Holmes. So this is well, that's the actress. But
Theranos.
Yeah, Theranos, that was what it was called, right. So the Dropout. So this is a true story about this woman CEO who like had a lot of charm, and like she was very smart, and she like built up this whole company, but it was totally built on fraud. And like like Mishlei would predict, it eventually became so big that like it collapsed, and she went under. And so the bad thing, so it was bad for her, but what was really bad was it was bad for women who want to make it big as CEOs, because the whole thing that she was like admired for was being this young, intelligent woman CEO, and like people didn't trust her because of that initially, but then she won them over. But then once it was proven that she was a fraud, then like it damaged the ability for women CEOs to like to launch businesses and stuff.
She was a billionaire. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, she was a billionaire, and then like it was all like an illusion. Yeah, it's really, really good. I recommend that you can get Hulu and do the free trial, because I think it's only like 7 or whatever 8 episodes or something like that. Really,
I feel like you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like you could at some point maybe you should make a Mishlei movie list.
I mean, I should. I used to teach the class called Mishlei and Movies in high school.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, it was an elective. I was asked to create an elective that was not rigorously academic but had something Judaic, and so I did this elective called Mishlei and Movies, where we would watch movies and then like and then like the students would like write Mishlei ideas from them, like analyze
That's
them.
cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely need to make a list. Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
Also, I'm just gonna ask if I can give a possible example of what the Mitzvah is saying.
Yeah.
Okay, at first I was really excited, but now I'm a little nervous because it's controversial, but I'm also a girl. So like, I feel like it's
Okay.
fine. I'll understand in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But basically it reminded me of Rambam's view of like women learning Gemara and how like he says that like women learning Gemara, if I remember correctly, is like, I don't remember what word he uses, but
Okay, so can I fill in the blanks and then you could explain your idea? Is that the Rambam quotes the Gemara that says, if you teach a woman Torah Shebal Peh, it's like you teach her Tiflus.
Yeah, there it is.
And
Yeah.
Tiflus, I don't know what the Rambam's interpretation of that, but Rashi's interpretation of that is that she's going to learn like cunning in like being able to like weasel out of things, like a certain like dishonest use of Chachma. Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly. So basically, like I was wondering if we could use that and apply it to this, because I think like nowadays, obviously we have like different interpretations of what that means, but his point was that Chachma and really important fundamental ideas would be being used and perverted in a way that it would be like exactly what we're saying, like we would be ruined. And then like, who knows what would happen to the reputation of like Torah and Gemara and whatever.
Right.
But like also the actual ideas themselves would be ruined because it's not true to what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, correct. I'll make this egalitarian. I mean, we had a Q&A on Shabbos at a panel, and like one of the questions asked Rav Pesach was about like guys who learn Gemara and like paskin, on their own, and are not trained in psak. And he like was going on a very, very harsh thing about people, about how like damaging that can be if you don't know the halakhic methods and you're not trained. So it's not just like women, it's like guys who like are in yeshiva for a couple of years and think they could just like open up a Gemara and like Rishonim and then just like paskin for themselves. It's is a little, they say like a little bit of knowledge can be a dangerous thing. So yeah, and that will ruin the reputation of Torah. Like, aside from the harm that it'll do to the person themselves, it'll ruin the reputation of the Chachma and the Torah. Yeah. Okay, so the common element here, so let's just summarize what we have here, and then we'll end for tonight, is that...
Hold on, can I just, last point?
Yeah.
I don't think it's only that that it's like the reputation and like ruining the person. I think it's also within like the abstract realm itself. There's an abstract corruption, which is just that you are there's something that is created to like approach God, right? Which is that you're supposed to have knowledge so that we can understand the Torah and understand the Bereshis and understand the worlds around us, but you're using it for bad reasons, right?
Right.
So it's not only just like the reputation, it's also just like abstractly you're misusing it.
I'm smiling because that's a very Zach idea of like corrupting the purpose of the thing, and like, not that it's not true, but like I feel like my inclination is to say, okay, so what, like like, yeah, you're not using the thing for its purpose, but like, okay, like, yeah, you're corrupting the abstract thing. Okay, I don't know. I'm not so moved by that, unless it has like consequences, at least in a Mishlei framework. I'm not denying the truth of the idea though. Okay, so we had, let's just see if we can summarize all the ideas here. So we had one idea, which was Sadigones. I think that's the most basic one, which is not judging a thing by its essence, but by its accidental qualities. Second thing is the halo effect idea, which is when you take something that has an accidental quality and you mistakenly project essential qualities onto the thing. Third idea, which is, I'm not going in order, by the way. Third idea is what I got out of the Pshat of the Mitzvahs David, which is that if someone has a secondary quality but is lacking the essence, then the lack of essence could corrupt the secondary quality. So in the case of a woman who's beautiful but lacks reason, the lack of reason could actually make her disgusting and reprehensible when beauty is really supposed to enhance you. Then you have the idea of the mashal, which is the using something for the corrupt purpose, either in abstract or like for the reputation. Okay, what am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting one or two ideas.
There was the one about having that tendency to value that which isn't valuable just because
Right.
it's
In
outstanding.
isolation. Right. So you take
Yeah.
a quality in isolation and you view it as intrinsically valuable when it's not, and that might even cause you to overlook the lack of the essential quality.
Yeah, and then I don't know if I don't know if it's already covered, but there's like that distinction I was trying to say early on of like the purpose, the utility, and the enhancement, and that
Right.
like there's a distinction, and when we're approaching anything, that distinction, it makes
Right.
a big difference.
Yeah, and that the enhancement could even like make the thing worse if the purpose is not being fulfilled.
Yeah, although I agree with that, although I don't know that I'd said that idea until later on, and we got that
Right.
from the Mishparsha.
Yeah, I think
but yeah.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to share Rabbi Moskowitz's share on this, and I'll just give you a tip with Rabbi Moskowitz here. I've said this and written this many times, but I'll say it again anyway in case anyone's listening to this on the recording. Like, the listening to Rabbi Moskowitz recordings is like reading a summary of the conclusions of Socratic dialogues. Namely, you get ideas if you read the summaries of the conclusions of the Socratic dialogues, but the essence is in the discussion. And unfortunately, Rabbi Moskowitz rarely recorded the discussion. So you'll get ideas. And if you happen to be lucky that it's a shiur where like you can hear the questions being asked, which is sometimes like depending on how it was, then you'll get more out of it. I plan on listening to this this week, and so I'll share with you guys. And if you have thoughts on it, then feel free to share. I don't know what he says, but we'll see how similar it is. And in terms of Mishlei Shiur, so this is the last one of the season. It was a good year of learning Mishlei. We got well into chapter 11. At this rate, we're moving. Not that that's the goal. I am most definitely not going to give shiur for the next month. It's possible. I got to see how I'm feeling in terms of like wanting to have a teaching schedule in July. It's possible I'll want to do like another weekly thing for the summer, but it will also depend on who's available. And it's entirely likely that we just won't resume until the beginning of next year. So I'll keep you guys in the loop. And if anyone's listening to this and not on the conversation, feel free to I guess contact me with your requests for days, or if you're available. Yeah. Okay. So thank you guys for this shiur again. I mentioned this before. I mean, this year I am not being paid for. This is for my own benefit and hopefully for the benefit of everyone else. But I'm really, really glad that we kept this shiur going this year, even without Lamdaha, and I hope we get to do it again next year.
Thank
Is
you.
anyone
so
else?
much.
It's been
I have
great.
a question before we go.
Sure.
I was just wondering if you can explain why specifically Tom was used, because I'm not sure
Yeah.
what the difference is between that and Chachma or Bina. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's really interesting because I'm so not familiar. Let me just quickly, I know I clicked on it before. I'm not even familiar with the word tam being used in Tanakh, except for taste. But let me just see here. I'm just not familiar with it being used for knowledge. So it doesn't even look like it's being used that much. Tam, so reason or judgment. I mean, if push comes to shove, if I had to like give an interpretation right now, what I would say is that Chazal do say that I don't even know what this is necessarily. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. Chazal do say that women have more bina than men, right? Like bina yasera. And one of the I know it's not there's two definitions of bina. Some translate bina as like derived knowledge, like that's how Mishlei uses it. But then another interpretation of bina is like discernment, like the ability to discern the difference like between good and bad. And in terms of if this is directed towards a like a man who's like looking for a woman, the worst thing, the thing that's going to matter, that's going to affect the marriage most, is her inability to discern between good and bad. Like that's going to create the most problems. And that's why I think the Mefarshim use the word etza, which is like practical knowledge, in terms of like how to implement things. That's going to be like the area where it's going to create the most like problems. That's what I have to guess. I don't really know for sure. And by the way, that's the the other pasuk Mishlei was Meshive Tam, which is people who are like advisors to the king. So similar sort of thing, like advice or counsel.
Is it a totally unrelated word grammatically from like the person Tom?
Yeah, it's spelled differently. That is spelled tough and mem, and this is tet ayin mem, so completely unrelated. Yeah.
Can I say something about the shiur?
Sure.
Has anyone noticed like the level of the shiur has like dramatically increased? Like not like like a curve, but it's like
yeah. I don't know when it happened. I was actually thinking about that. Like at a certain point, then like the core group that comes from most weeks, of which everyone is here. But like
core five.
Yeah.
It's token for the other people who are not here, by the way. Hopefully they're listening.
Yeah, peer pressure. At a certain point, like the questions became much more on point, and the initial like the half-baked ideas became like full-baked ideas, in many cases. And like I think the hive mind was better in terms of people developing other people's ideas, and so I do think that that's a really cool phenomenon. I'm glad you pointed that out.
I've definitely felt that as well.
Yeah.
So sometimes the teachers ask for reviews on their shiurim.
Yeah.
Is it okay if
sometimes I get them without asking?
Sure, go ahead.
Is it okay if the student can ask reviews on what the Talmud needs to improve on for the shiur for next year?
If I can answer that for you if you're asking.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to know where I lack.
Should we pause recording? Or
you want me to pause the recording, or do you want this to be?
No. I think this is very important. I think that this is a safe space.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing you did. Now, might be recency bias, so you'll have to ask yourself if this is true. And I don't think what I'm about to say is not true all the time. But
No, what bias?
Recency bias. Like you think it's more prominent because it was recent.
Oh, recent. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Or availability bias. So you did do this tonight and this morning. Okay. Which is that you weren't listening to other people.
Yeah, I know that's a problem. All right. Any other?
And I think the thing is that when you do listen to other people, then you do have good contributions to make to them, and everyone gains. And I do understand that there's definitely a thing where, like, I'll give you a secondary piece of advice here, which is that, look, we're all thinking, and there is a phenomenon when you're in shiur that you're thinking and you're caught up in your own thoughts. But I think that it is both like I think it's mishleikly foolish and like intellectually foolish to say I wasn't listening to you, and then you just go into your own idea. Like I think
rude.
Yeah, it's rude, right? I'm saying like it doesn't make people want to feel like you're working, like it doesn't make people feel like you're working with them. I think if you just, let's say like you weren't listening to the other person and you just said, can you repeat your idea? And let's say you're not even interested in their idea. Like, let's just say let's say you're just doing it to not be rude. First of all, it makes them feel respected. Secondly, it does give another opportunity for them to clarify their idea. Thirdly, it gives you another opportunity to hear their idea. And maybe that could actually like facilitate the communication between the two. And by the way, I used to have to work on this. Rifki, I don't know if you remember this. You probably weren't aware of this because you guys were just 11th graders. And your class was the exception. But I actually used to have to work with this in my 11th grade Mishlei class, is that students were not used to listening to each other. Your class listened to each other. But what I used to have to do is I actually used to have to make, let's say like Rifki said an idea and you had your hand raised, and I could tell you weren't listening, I would ask you to repeat what Rifki said before saying your own idea in order to facilitate like people listening to each other. What was that?
I said that it was true and it was helpful, and I still feel like I was trained and I didn't even know that. And
yeah. But again, Ariel, this is not like a common problem. It's just like it was a recent problem, and like sometimes that happens.
Right. So I will say that that's something I have like thought about. It's also really hard to listen to someone you're thinking of your own idea.
Yeah. I'll tell you another thing. I'm only saying this because you asked. Okay. So like another thing.
Good. Anything else? I'm looking for more.
So this is both a strength and a weakness. Okay. So the strength is you are someone who needs to talk out an idea in order to develop the idea. Like talking out the idea helps you develop it. I think that sometimes then it pays to be mindful about what percentage of the sheer time you're taking up by talking out your idea. And it hasn't happened so much in this year, because this year we have twice the amount of time that we do in the mornings. But sometimes in the mornings, like if you watch other people's eyes while you're talking, there's a certain point where people lose interest, and then I lose the group.
Okay.
You know, and you're talking, and you are developing the idea, but it's going on like for too long, you know.
Oh, it's interesting. That's actually something I never even like realized.
Yeah, and again, I'm in a position where, like, again, just as a teacher, I'm always monitoring what the group dynamic is, so
Okay.
I can see when people are tuning out, whereas you who are talking can't necessarily see
When
it.
did you first notice this?
I noticed it a lot.
Oh, well, why didn't you tell me like several months ago?
That's not my
You
style.
saved a lot of time.
Intervene with Tocha. If it were like an actively disruptive problem, I would do that, but it hasn't been like that bad. But like, you know, but in the future, if you want, I can like at the outset, I can tell you stuff, you know.
Or anything else?
Anything else? No, I think the only other thing that happened earlier in the year, which you have corrected, was knowing when to tell me to turn off the recording.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
I don't mind if you have any thoughts. I mean,
I think this is fun. It's good.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah. No, I Zach, I don't have any you know, I don't have any critiques.
Well,
I
if
mean,
you think of something, you can always feel free to.
Give me something. What's wrong?
I just be that they're so bad he doesn't want to say them.
All right. What about Rifki? Come on, let's go.
Wait, you can't volunteer other people.
Quickly, I'm sorry, but that is off. No.
Yeah, you can't volunteer other people. No. You want? I'll tell you one
Fine,
thing
fine.
that I'll counter it. One thing that Zach has been I've noticeably better at this year, and this might just be the group dynamic also, but like Zach, you will often wait until the end to say your ideas and focus on developing other people's ideas in the beginning of this year, which is very, very, I mean, it's not like that's necessary, but it has been very, very good, you know, because when you recognize that your idea is of a completely different track, even though you're excited to say your idea, you'll wait until like it's an appropriate time, which is a very good quality. And then Rifki, one thing that I think that has been good, and I think you've been good about this in general, but like, I don't know, I've just noticed it more this year, is either during Shiur or after Shiur, asking me to repeat something that just to go over it one more time. Like, even if you don't have a specific question, you know, I think there are people who feel like they can't ask a question unless it is a specific question. And just saying like, wait, could you say that one more time? Or like, I didn't get that. Can you say it again? It's fine to do that. Like, you know, like you can't always get an idea the first time around. And like, chances are, what I always say is like, chances are, if you have anything that you're missing that you feel like you need to say the idea again, chances are other people will gain from hearing it again, and I'll gain from saying it again. So like, there's literally no harm done in like asking for the idea again, you know?
Yeah, I actually have to give that credit to Shifra, because I remember in high school, I don't know if you remember this, he always did that. And you know, since then, it's like been very helpful.
Yes, I also associate that quality with Shifra. Yeah, it's good. And it takes courage, you know, it's good. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, Yosef, nothing bad to say. I'm just glad that you are able to come to all these night shiurim, you know, like and the ones that you know, I know like sometimes you call in when you're on your way home from school, but you know, it's definitely enhanced our learning. So like I was, you know, I said before, like any shiur that Yosef is in shiur becomes a better shiur for everybody. So you know, that's true. Yeah. All right.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks
Have a
for
good night, everybody.
Great season.
Great season. Yeah.
All right, until
Thank you
next
so
time.
much.
Until next year.
Yep. Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye.